Hello, welcome to Statecraft IAS and Social Perspective Sociology in Newspaper series. In this series, we shall discuss daily news articles in sociological perspective and revise relevant socially related UPSC mains concepts with the help of a newspaper on daily basis. In today's video, we have an article in editorial page saying the crisis ahead from learning loss to resumption. Now, this article discusses how to resume schooling or education in our country. It draws out various examples over the globe. It draws out various examples from Canada, also in Ontario state, and it states various states examples also. And it says how to resume schooling in our country. It just discusses, it does not give any solutions. But this article linking to our socially related syllabus, we have a unit called education and social change. In that unit, we have some topics called education or perspectives on education and social change. Now, why education is important in social perspective? Because it initiates social change. It has capacity to welcome any change. It ensures equality of opportunity. It is a moral agent. That means it imbibes values like empathy and rational investigation. It has economic role. It fights orthodoxy and promotes liberal ideas. Education is means for social mobility also, vertical mobility to be precise, and education accelerates the social change. Now, going through various perspectives on education and social change, we have Sumner saying education is the transmission of modes of the group to the child. It helps in transmission through schooling, because learning what is approved and what is not in the society, how to behave in all kinds of cases, what is ought to be believed and respected, is taught to the child in school only, because schools are miniature societies. That is said by Durkheim also. He says schools are epitomes of society. Children learn to respect norms of the society and be part of a larger group. Schools are agents of transmission of social norms. Education is the socialization of the younger generation, says Durkheim. It helps in impartation of skills which sustain division of labor in society. This is why schools are important in our society. Now, because of the pandemic, we have lost two schooling years to younger children. And if at all any question comes regarding dysfunctions of schooling or dysfunctions of education in pandemic, we can quote these statements by different thinkers, and we can substantiate our answers by various statistics like this much percentage of students have lost schooling, this much percentage of students are expected to be permanently dropped out of the schooling, etc. That gives an edge over others answers in our exam. Now, further, Parsons says education plays a key role in role allocation in an increasingly specialized industrial economy. Now, on the other side of the coin, we have critics of schooling and education also. That can be written as another perspective in while writing the functions and dysfunctions of schooling in pandemic. While on First half of the answer, while saying that children have lost many things, etc., the second half of the answer can be written like, though children have lost schooling and education, it is not completely anything to be worried about, because schools are in a way dysfunctions to the society also. That way we can quote these thinkers who are critics of education system and say that losing schooling in pandemic is not complete loss for children itself. Anyway, schools have nothing much to do in personal empowerment or in personal achievement of child. Like that we can frame our answers, because feminists like McRobbie and Suili say schooling reproduces appropriate feminine roles in girls because it reproduces gender stereotypes. We have Paul Willis, another feminist, saying schooling promotes aggressive masculinity because boys use derogatory language that is unchecked in schools effectively. uh, with the usage of such derogatory language by boys, girls think that boys are expressively aggressive in nature than girls, and these stereotypes are strengthened in schools. Now, differential education leads to differential reproduction of cultural values. Yes, we have different classes going to different kinds of schools. We have upper echelons of the society going to some schools like Delhi Public School, Hyderabad Public School, Jubilee Hills Public School, etc., and lower rungs of the society going to some ordinary private or government schools. Now, as they are going to different kinds of schools, different cultural values and different uh, stereotypes are just reproduced through schooling. If at all that schooling is not there, they would have mingled effectively within the society, coming across every type of status and every class people, and they would have imbibed those cultural values also in them, and they would have found no difference between them and the other people. They would have easily assimilated into the society without getting any consciousness of different statuses and different class. Now, because of schooling only, these different cultural values are just being reproduced. Now, as all the higher echelons of the society are going to some particular kind of international schools, etc., when they think that everyone in the society is like them only. Now, when they come across some lower rungs of society, like poor people or economically backward people, when they grow up, they do not, they wouldn't be readily readily accepting the reality, and they wouldn't be readily mingling with them. So that so schooling in a way reproduces cultural values, and it only divides society further. Now we have Marxists like Althusser saying in his book Ideology and Ideological State Apparatus, written in 1972. He says education is the most important ideological state apparatus appropriated by the ruling classes to pursue their own ideas and interests, and it reinforces dominant ideology and thus hinders real social change in society. It merely leads to reproduction of labor force. Because this is said because if we understand schooling in a way, schooling is just reproducing mechanical engineers or civil engineers or electronics and electrical engineers or computer engineers. Now all these in a way have to contribute to the capitalist system after getting graduated, but they cannot become capitalists by themselves. That means education is not producing capitalists, it is just supplying labor force to that capitalist. In that way, education is designed in that such particular way, such that it helps only capitalists and serves their purposes, says Althusser. Now we have Berlus and Gentis saying in his book Schooling in Capitalist America, written in 1976. He says school is a giant myth-making machine with a hidden curriculum which serves the interest of the dominant groups, as we have already said. Now Ivan Illich saying in his book Deschooling Society in 1971, he says pupil confuses teaching with learning, grades advancement with education, and a diploma with competence. Schools suffocate creativity and de-skill the individuals as they become more dependent on capitalist system. Schools promote passive consumption, that is, an uncritical acceptance of the existing social order. As schools are miniature societies, what all dysfunctions are there in society, or what all discrepancies are there in the society, they are in the same way replicated in schools also. Now, as children grow up in such kind of environments, they become immune to that such discrepancies, and they do not tend to turn against those discrepancies or injustices happening in the society, because they would accept them eventually as they're growing in such kind of societies only. That is said by Ivan Illich. Now we have Mark Twain famous quote saying, I never let my schooling get in the way of my education. Raymond Bodan also says the role of education is providing avenues for social mobility is not very significant. Now here we have seen education, functions of education, like education, it means for social mobility. That means vertical mobility from lower status to higher status. But we have here Raymond Bodan saying it is not very significant in mobility, in terms of mobility. Education based on quality only perpetuates inequality, he says. Pierre Bourdieu also says education reproduces cultural capital. We have Sally Tomlinson saying he laments education as it is being reduced as a means of economic development. Education should be liberalizing, humanizing, and democratizing force, he says. Education is ought to be so, but today education is such that it is just reproducing, or it is just being reduced to means of economic development. Parents are educating their children not for their personal empowerment or not for their enlightenment, but just to become just to be a worthy earning hand in their family. Hence, education, the role of education or the scope of education is just being seen as an economic means rather than personal development or personal empowerment or enlightenment, as Sally Tomlinson has rightly said. Now, moving on to the next article. Here we have saying a more human police force. Now, this article talks about police reforms. The conclusion of the summary of this article is that police brutality is happening in the society only because they think that brutal police force only brings social order in society or public order in society. That kind of attitude in the police or lower ranks of the police force is cultivated because there is a lack of coordination and there is harsh hierarchy in police department. Because of that harsh hierarchy or rigid hierarchy in police department, higher rank officers tend to abuse lower rank officers often, and they treat them in inhuman manner. Now that inhuman manner is as it is replicated by the lower rank police officers to the society itself, and that's why there is a police brutality in society, this article says. And while talking about police reforms, without political will police reforms cannot be brought, it says. Now linking this particular article to our sociology syllabus, what the main purpose of police force is just to address deviance in society. Now RK Merton says in his concept conformity in deviance, he says deviance happens in the society as a response to state anomy. What is state anomy? When there is unequal emphasis between cultural goals and institutional means, that results in state anomy, says R.K. Merton. Now, as a response to that state anomy, different kinds of people deviate in different manners. Some kind of people adhere to cultural goals, some kind of people adhere to institutional means, some kind of people adhere to both, some kind of people give up both also, depending upon what they are adhering to and what they are giving up. R.K. Merton categorized these deviances into 5 paths or 5 categories, like conformity, innovative, ritualistic, retreatism, rebellion, etc. Now we have further sociologists saying why such deviances happen. Albert Cohen says it is due to frustration. Bernard Lander says social disorganization. Walter Miller says thrill. Cloyd and Dollin say it is due to criminal subculture. David Mazza says mood fatalism. Ward Becker says it is due to labeling. Now, whatever may be the reason is, police are there at place to address this deviance and to restore social change in the society. Now, while talking about social change, we have to think about Talcott Parsons, because Talcott Parsons, in his cybernetic hierarchy of control, terms social change or defines social change as something when there is a change in the direction of energy and information control. Now, how to restore this social change? Talcott Parsons says there are 2 ways. One is social control, and the other one is socialization. Social control is nothing but enforcement of law using police action, etc. Socialization is nothing but imbibing values, morals, etc. to the society, hearing to their grievances, addressing their problems, bringing better coordination between society and police, or society and enforcement agencies, or within the different sections of society, etc. All those measures come under socialization tactics. Now, Talcott Parsons says, if we look into the contents of the article before going through what Talcott Parsons has said, here in the article, it is said, in the Stanford prison experiment, people who had applied to be as part of the experiment were randomly divided into 2 groups, prison guards and prisoners. Under duress, the participants who played the role of prison guards started exploiting and torturing the participants playing the role of prisoners. Milgram's experiment on obedience to authority showed that people obey if they are coerced. This is the result of the experiment, or the outcome of the experiment. That means people think that people obey only if they are coerced. But this kind of coercion or this kind of fear of punishment will not completely motivate people to do or to abide by the social norms and values, because Talcott Parsons says fear of punishment will not always act as deterrent. Moral commitment is required, because Talcott Parsons has studied extensively on social action, and he says social action is something that is done consciously. That means anything that is done with consciousness, it is social action. That conscious action or conscious social action, he says, happens in pattern, in some patterns. It does not just happen randomly, but there are certain patterns for that social action to happen. That pattern he is influenced by 2 kinds of orientation. One is motivational orientation, and the other one is value orientation. Motivational orientation is at micro level. That means it happens with the individual, in the individual's mind. Value orientation is nothing but it is some kind of expectation by the society upon the individual. Depending upon those expectations of the society upon the individual tries to change his decisions, and he tries to amend his ways in particular way in determining social action. Motivational orientation is nothing but it is personally his choice, his interest, and his analysis upon his own things. Hence, that kind of coercion which we have seen in the experiment is just value orientation, because if people are trying to coerce individuals to make them act in particular ways only, that means it is a kind of influence of the society on the individual, but it is not personal influence or personal interest of the individual to act in particular way. Hence, police control or police coercion or police brutality will not always bring fruits to the efforts of the community or society. for individuals to act in a particular manner such that it perpetuates social order or public order or social solidarity, motivational orientation is required. That means socialization has to be brought in, not just social control. The article further says that many policemen deal with citizens in a manner that they do only because their work environments are not harmonious. The relationship with their superior officers is stressful and sycophantic. There is no concept of welfare, and this manifests in their improper behavior with the citizenry, as we have already discussed. Hence, socialization has to be brought not just between the lower police officers, lower rank police officers and the society, but also between the or within the police department, between higher rank officers and lower rank officers also. If higher rank officers deal with the lower rank officers harmoniously and address their grievances and treat them humanely, that same behavior will be replicated by the lower rank police officers also upon the society, and this brings greater solidarity within the society, and people will not fear to go to police stations or report any instance happening in the society or to give any complaints. That brings greater socialization within the community between police department and the society, normal society, and it brings greater solidarity. This is one of the important aspects of police reforms, says this author or this article. And this we have analyzed with our sociology related concepts like R.K. Merton's conformity and deviance and Talcott Parsons' social action and social change. Now, that's all we have for today. If you like the content, please like, share, and subscribe to Statecraft IS. Thank you for listening. Have a nice day.